When you are a queen, you have many privileges that only a queen can enjoy. Queen Elizabeth II is the longest reigning monarch in the world. She has handled herself extremely well, with the entire world constantly watching her every move. But as a queen, there are a lot of things that only she can do, but nobody else can. Want to find out? Keep watching. Number 1. She doesn't need a license to drive in the UK. The Queen is the only person in the United Kingdom who doesn't legally need a license to drive. That is because all the driving licenses are issued in the Queen's name. This is an example of the Queen exercising her royal prerogative, a special exemption from some statute laws. She has never even taken a driving test. That being said, the Queen is an experienced driver. She learned how to drive during the Second World War when she operated a first aid truck for the Women's Auxiliary Territorial Service. Because of her training, the Queen also knows how to change a spark plug. Number 2. She doesn't need a license plate to drive. It won't be difficult to spot the Queen's car, as it will be the only one without a license plate. Yes, that's right. Along with not needing a license, the Queen's car does not need to have a license plate either. This is because of the simple reason that registration plates are also issued by the Queen's authority, so there's no point in her having a license plate for her car. Number 3. The speed limit does not apply to her. And she can go as fast as she wants because the speed limit does not apply to her. She is completely exempt from the laws and regulations governing the road. In Britain, speed limits don't apply to vehicles used for emergency services like police, fire and rescue, ambulances, or the serious organized crime agency, as they might prevent these services from doing their job on time. Even when the Queen is not behind the wheel, the royal family is driven by the police, which makes them exempt from any speeding laws. But this is only when they are being driven around on official royal duties. Number 4. She doesn't need a passport to travel. All the passports in the United Kingdom are issued under the Queen's name. That is why she doesn't have to issue one for herself. So the Queen technically doesn't need to carry a passport when she travels. And this extends to international travel as well. The Queen can travel anywhere in the world without a passport. But it isn't true for any other member of the royal family though. All other members of the royal family, including Prince Charles, have passports. Also, fun fact, the Queen also has the power to withdraw anybody's passport in the UK. Number 5. She doesn't have to pay taxes. Yes, the Queen doesn't have to pay taxes, but she does anyway. Well, at least some of them. The royal family's official website reads, "The Queen pays tax." In 1992, the Queen volunteered to pay income tax and capital gains tax, and ever since 1993, her income has been taxable as to other taxpayers. The Queen has also always been subject to value-added tax and pays the local rates voluntarily. Number 6. She can't be arrested. The Queen enjoys sovereign immunity, which means that she cannot be arrested. This immunity extends to all the British heads of state while they're in office. But the Queen is protected by this law for life, as her position is lifelong. Along with this, the Queen also enjoys diplomatic immunity in foreign countries, which means that she cannot be arrested in any other country either. But what if the Queen were to commit a crime? Well, the prosecutors could go after the Crown as executive, but the Queen's ministers are required to act on her behalf, even accepting any punishment that was given for the crime. But it is possible that if the monarch did commit a serious offense, he or she would be forced to abdicate. In the 17th century, King Charles I was tried for treason after the English Civil War. He said, "No earthly power can justly call me, who am your king, in question as a delinquent." The court did not agree with his statements and had him executed. Number 7. She has the power to form governments. The Parliament doesn't exist without the formation of a government. The Queen invites the appointed Prime Minister to Buckingham Palace, where she officially asks them to form a government. This meeting is known as the kissing of hands. Number 8. She can confer titles. Now, knights today don't mean men in armor riding around on horseback, but Britain still has knights and many other titles. They are appointed by the Queen. Knighthood is given to people who have made some contributions to the British society, whether it is in business, art, sciences, military, or elsewhere. They are decided by the ministers, and the Queen knights them personally. When Terry Pratchett was knighted, the fantasy author forged himself a special sword using pieces of a meteorite. The title of Dame was conferred to actress Maggie Smith. Number 9. She can ignore or overrule ministerial advice in a grave constitutional crisis. Most of the Queen's political powers are exercised with the consultation of her ministers, but there is an exception. In a grave constitutional crisis, the sovereign can act contrary to or without ministerial advice. In such a situation, the Queen can ignore their advice. Today, it is not clear what would constitute a situation like this. Number 10. She holds the power to fire the Australian government. The Queen is also the head of state in Australia. Due to this, she has certain powers even over the government of Australia. One of those is the power to fire the entire government. In 1975, Governor-General Sir John Kerr, the Queen's representative in Australia at the time, fired the Prime Minister of Australia after a government shutdown. Later, he dismissed the rest of the Parliament, and Australia had to hold elections from scratch. Number 11. She's the head of a religion. The Queen of England is also the head of the Church of England. Britain's state religion was established after King Henry VIII renounced the Catholic Church in Rome in the 16th century. Since 1534, the British sovereign has been the head of the Church of England. Part of the Queen's official title is Defender of the Faith and Supreme Governor of the Church of England. Fancy, right? With this, she also has the power to appoint bishops and archbishops. However, she can only exercise this power after consulting the Prime Minister, who takes advice from the Church Commission. What this means is that the ruler must be a confirmed member of the Church of England. Any other religion cannot ascend the British throne. So, let's say if Prince Charles were to convert to Islam, he would not become the king after Queen Elizabeth II's demise. Number 12. She can give away special money to the elderly. So, there is a special kind of silver money called Maundy money, which the Queen can give away to pensioners every Easter at a UK cathedral in a special ceremony. Every year, the number of recipients corresponds with the age of the sovereign. So, when the Queen turned 91, she gave Maundy money to 91 pensioners. These silver coins are legal tender, even though they come in 3p and 4p denominations. But because they are so rare, they don't usually enter circulation. Number 13. She is exempt from jury duty. The Queen does not have to take part in jury duty. For the common people in the United Kingdom, evading jury duty can result in a fine of up to £1,000, but for the Queen, jury duty is not mandatory. This is because the Criminal Justice Bill claims that it might disrupt the Queen if members of her circle were called to serve. Even the Queen's immediate family were exempt from jury duty until 2003, after which the law was amended. Today, only the Queen herself is exempt. The Queen also cannot be forced to give evidence in court. Number 14. She can decide the royal dress code. There are a lot of fashion rules for the royal family. Always wearing tights, never wearing an all-black outfit except for mourning, and not wearing colorful nail polish are just some of the rules that they need to follow. The Queen has the final say on such matters, and you better believe that she makes some of these rules based on her personal preferences. Number 15. She can pick and summon the Prime Minister. The Queen has the power to appoint the Prime Minister of the UK. In most cases, she appoints the leader of the party that won most seats in the House of Commons. And while the Queen is required to stay out of politics, there are certain circumstances, like if a Prime Minister resigns or dies, where she might have to make some decisions. She can also summon the Prime Minister for meetings to stay updated on what is happening in the government. She can also express her opinions in the meeting, as the communication is strictly confidential. Number 16. She doesn't need a last name. Queen Elizabeth comes from the family house Windsor, and she was raised with this last name. But when she ascended the throne, she took on the name Elizabeth Regina. Regina is Latin for queen, and is used in all official documents. But most of the documents just feature Elizabeth R. Not just the Queen, but the other members of the British royal family are also not required to use their legal last names, although they do have one: Mountbatten Windsor. Number 17. She can take legal custody of her grandchildren. You might not know this, but the Queen has legal custody of all her grandchildren. Regular grandparents might have to make visits to the courts if they want custody of their grandchildren, but not the Queen. The rule goes back 300 years when King George made the law because he had a poor relationship with his son. So while it is unlikely that the Queen would take away her grandchildren from their parents, the law would allow her to do so if she wanted. Number 18. She is exempt from the Freedom of Information Act. Not just the Queen, but the entire royal family is exempt from the Freedom of Information Act. According to the royal family's website, the royal household is not a public authority within the meaning of the FOI Acts and is therefore exempt from their provisions. This means that the royal family has a lot more privacy concerning their finances and day-to-day duties. For example, the public of the United Kingdom does not have access to detailed information about how the royal family spends the public funds, or how big or small a role it plays in influencing any government policies. Number 19. She does not need to curtsy. An important part of royal etiquette is curtsying, but it does not apply to the Queen. According to protocol, everyone has to curtsy to the Queen. While all female members of the royal family are required to greet the Queen with a curtsy, the male members have to bow their heads. The Queen has curtsied too, and she doesn't have to curtsy back. Number 20. She is on the currencies of multiple countries. Now, this is absolutely something that only the Queen has done. She is pictured on the currencies of 35 countries in the world. She is the only living ruler who is on so many different currencies around the world, and even holds the Guinness World Record for it. Number 21. She has access to special jewelry. The Queen personally owns some jewelry pieces, while some are used for coronations and other important state ceremonies. The latter is called the crown jewels. The rest are a part of the royal collection. However, as Queen, she has direct access to any of the pieces that she wants. Not just that, but she can also decide which jewels and tiaras to loan to her family or future family members who can also wear the priceless pieces. Number 22. She chooses the royal menu. The Queen has a large cooking staff who can serve her anything she wants to eat. The Queen is presented with a menu twice a week. The royal chef sends her 3 menu suggestions for every meal of the week written in French. She ticks her preferences and crosses out the others. Number 23. She can issue royal warrants. A lot of companies have been issued royal warrants over the years. What is a royal warrant though? It is a document that appoints a company or individual in a trading capacity to the royal household. The holder of the warrant can use the royal arms in connection to their business. It is the Queen who grants these warrants. Fulton Umbrellas has a royal warrant, and it creates color-coordinated parasols for the Queen. Number 24. She can declare war. The Queen can declare war on other countries. Not just that, but she is the only person in the United Kingdom with the power to do that. Of course, that doesn't in any way mean that she has absolute power to declare war. This power can only be exercised in cases of all-out warfare, and even then, the Parliament, Prime Minister, and the government would have to allow it. She can also declare peace, as well as commit troops to an area of armed conflict. Number 25. She can grant a criminal pardon. Queen Elizabeth can grant royal pardon to anybody convicted of a crime if she deems it fit. This is a right granted to the British sovereign for a long time, known as the Royal Prerogative of Mercy. This was originally intended to prevent the execution of a criminal, but it is rarely used in the modern-day United Kingdom, which has abolished the death penalty. In 2013, she granted a posthumous pardon to World War II codebreaker Alan Turing, who received an indecency conviction in 1952. The Queen, however, can still use the royal pardon to reduce an inmate's prison sentence. 2 inmates from a South Wales prison rushed to save a prison worker's life when he was attacked by a wild boar. The Queen, at the time, decided to reduce their sentence due to their brave actions. Number 26. She legitimizes laws. It is the Parliament that has the power to make the laws, but before the law goes into effect, it is the Queen who has to sign off on the proposed bill. She must give the royal assent, meaning that she approves the proposed law, or doesn't. So, while the Queen is required to remain politically neutral, she can still reject a potential law. But it is not often the law is rejected. The last time this happened was in 1708, when Queen Anne vetoed a measure that would have restored the Scottish militia. Most monarchs don't even show up in person to give the royal assent, including Queen Elizabeth II. The last monarch to have done so was Queen Victoria in 1854. Number 27. She can command the armed forces. The Queen of Britain is the Commander-in-Chief of the UK's entire military force. All British soldiers have to swear an oath to her before they officially join the armed forces. As the Commander-in-Chief, the Queen can also delegate this duty to someone else. She can assign this position to another government official, most often the Prime Minister or the Secretary of State for Defense. Number 28. The Queen can dissolve the Parliament. The Queen has the right to fire everyone in the House of Commons and dissolve the Parliament, and then hold a new election with completely new members. The Queen has never used this power, but even if she did, government activities would go on quite smoothly anyway. The last time the Parliament was dissolved was in 1830. The Queen must also officially open Parliament every May to commence the parliamentary year. It is a huge ceremony, and it's the only event where the House of Lords, House of Commons, and the Queen are in the same space. Number 29. She owns all the dolphins and unaccounted swans in the UK. She might not be the ruler of the ocean world, but technically she owns all the dolphins in the waters around the UK, as well as other fishes like whales, sturgeons, and porpoises. All the fish are recognized as fish royal. If they are captured within 3 miles of the UK shores or washed ashore, they are claimed by the sovereign. According to Time, generally, when brought into port, a sturgeon is sold in the usual way, and the purchaser, as a gesture of loyalty, requests the honor of its being accepted by Elizabeth. And that's not all. The Queen also co-owns every swan in the River Thames, along with the Worshipful Company of Vintners and the Worshipful Company of Dyers. And it isn't just a formality either. The royal family is very involved in the well-being and conservation of the swans. There is an official keeper of the swans, a position in existence for 700 years. There is also an annual swan upping, where all the swans in the UK are counted every single year. Number 30. She has her own ATM. When you are a queen, you don't have time to rush to the ATM to retrieve some cash. And not because you have people who would do it for you either. Buckingham Palace has a private ATM in its basement. This cash dispenser is provided by the British bank Coates and is only available to the royal family. Cool, huh? What do you think of all these perks? Makes ruling a country much easier, doesn't it? If you were a ruler, what privileges would you have loved to have? Let us know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.